Hi, welcome everybody. It's Annabelle Fisher, and I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and I guess one of my biggest accomplishments is I'm a mother to our 8-year-old black cat Midnight. And if you don't know me, thank you for joining this video. I've decided to video the last 2 months of my life. I have been moving through a journey of stage 4 ovarian cancer for the last 3 years, and on August the 8th I was told that I had 2 months to live. So one of the only regret that I had at that point was that I wouldn't have the time or the energy to write my second book. So I decided to talk about what this journey is like on YouTube, through videos and through posting on Facebook. And in this time, in case this is the first video you've seen, I've made a lot of decisions. My husband and I have done a lot of things on my bucket list when I was able to. One of those included going to the country of Nepal for 2 weeks, which we organised very fast because that's the country that we met in 1995. So I wanted to come full circle. I married a Canadian who I met in a bar called the Rum Doodle in Kathmandu. I didn't marry him in that moment, but I married him shortly after. And so we wanted to come full circle and return to the place where we met, to the place where we later went back to teach English for a year, and the place where we had a lot of very happy, peaceful memories. So we've done that, and we've also come to England. So originally we were living in Canada on the west coast in British Columbia, and one of the things I decided was that I would like to complete my life living with my parents in their tiny little cottage in Hale in Cornwall. And so we've also arrived here in the last few weeks. I haven't posted a video on YouTube. I just worked out it would be about 3.5 weeks. So much has happened. But the reason that I'm doing it now is twofold. One is because so many beautiful, amazing souls have been reaching out to me on Facebook, either privately or on my timeline, asking how I am and sending me love and praying for me and meditating for me. And I know that there are a lot of amazing people thinking of me, and I just wanted to check in and let you know how I'm doing. And the other thing is a lot of people want to know how Midnight is. So she's our fur baby. And one of the decisions that I made when I decided I was going to come back to the UK with Michael, my husband, was that we were going to do it with Midnight. And that took a lot of paperwork and a lot of administration and the support of one of our best friends who looked after Midnight when we were in Nepal and took her to the vet. She had to be chipped, she had to have some injections, and then at the right time she had to have a crate made for her that fitted her, which she could be transported in, which meant that she could stand up and move around in the airline. And she flew back to the UK a few days before us. It took her 5 hours to clear customs in Heathrow, and then she began probably about a 7-hour journey down to my parents in Cornwall. And so many people have been asking how she is. So she's actually here on the bed with me. And I'm sorry about this lighting. I'm sitting on our bed and it's not the greatest lighting, but it's comfortable for me and I wanted to do it here. So we've got this tiny tripod set up on the mattress and it's rocking about a bit. But Midnight's here. She's just had her supper. And I'll tell you a little bit about her in case you don't know who she is or why she's so important to me. So she came into our life in 2014 as a stray. She decided she was going to live with us. She chose us, and she was 4 then. And pretty much a year later, it was about a year and a few weeks later, I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. And at that point, her relationship and my relationship became even closer, and she was glued to me. She wouldn't leave my side. And when I was housebound, sorry, I beg your pardon, when I was bedbound, she stayed on the bed with me all the time. And indeed, that's exactly what she's doing now, but I digress. Going back there, I felt that at that point, Midnight and I had sort of entered a soul journey together. She was definitely one of the beings that pulled me through, and she has supported me throughout these 3 years. So it was very important to me that, although some friends offered, various friends offered to take her on, it was very important that she continued the journey, and she travelled with Michael, my husband, and I to Britain. And it was a big deal. It was a big expectation for her, and it was financially very costly. It cost over 2,500 Canadian dollars. And thanks to amazing friends who set up a GoFundMe account, the money was raised on Facebook to pay for her transportation and her arrival in Cornwall. And she now has enough money for my parents to look after her and to put towards future vet bills. So it's very exciting, and I am so grateful to everybody who supported us in doing that and achieving that dream. And of course, lots of people want to know how she is, so just bear with me a minute. As she's sleeping, I have to pick her up. Come here, sweetheart. Oh, up we come. There we are. So here she is. She's 8 years old now, and she certainly is very independent, but it's very interesting how she has just adapted to being here. She's an outdoor cat in Canada, indoor and outdoor. Thank you, love. And here, at the moment, she's an indoor cat because we're allowing her to transition. My parents have a cat and a dog, and she's adjusting to being in the house, and I take her into the garden on a leash, and then gradually she will adjust to being out there. She has a microchip that is Canadian, and that has to be transferred to be British. So that will happen, and when that's happened, I will let her out in the garden on her own. I think she's incredible. I'm so proud of her, what she's accomplished in the 2 weeks she's been here, 2 and a bit weeks, and how gentle and accepting she is. She is teaching me so much. So that's her. And then the other part is a lot of you have been asking how I am. So I wanted to fill you in on that. So, on Monday, I spoke at an event in Portland, Oregon. And of course, that wasn't live, sadly, as it was planned to be. But the organizer, Rachel O'Rourke, managed to live stream me in. So it was wonderful, and I felt as though I was there. Well, I guess I was there in the room with 160 odd women who received me with great love and appreciation. And why I mention that is lots and lots of people have said to me after how well I look. And in fact, I was talking to one of my dearest friends today on WhatsApp, and she said, it's just so incongruent that you are now so ill, because when I look at you, you look so well. And I guess that's the irony. I feel very well mentally, emotionally and spiritually. I feel sharp and grounded and clear and at peace. It's just my body is not cooperating now. So what started to happen, which I understand is very typical for ovarian cancer, is I'm getting a lot of ascites, which is fluid buildup. I have a lot of cancer tumours on my abdomen, so apparently this ascites is quite a natural reaction to that when the peritoneum is aggravated. The reaction is that there is fluid buildup. So I have had an incredibly uncomfortable 10 days. Earlier this week I looked to be about 7 months pregnant. I finally went in for a drain, a procedure in the hospital here in Cornwall, and in the first 90 minutes they drained almost 6 litres out of my belly. So you can imagine why I was so uncomfortable. And then the procedure was 6 hours long. They did that for hygiene reasons. They said they didn't want the drain to be in longer than 6 hours. So for the rest of those, what that had been 4.5 hours, actually I only got about another half a litre out. So it really gushed out, which apparently is quite common, and then it slowed down. And that gave me amazing relief because I didn't have the pressure build up and the tension. And I then left the hospital, I was drained. Literally, I was drained physically and mentally and emotionally. And some very, very dear friends from Scotland have been down staying with us, who have been amazing at taking Michael and me out to enjoy the beaches here in Hale and the surrounding areas like St Ives. And we decided that even though I was tired, I was going to make my one life count, and we were going to go and sit and watch the sunset on over Hale Beach, and we were going to have fish and chips. And it was the most magical experience that I wanted to share with you, because as the sun set, I felt a real intense connection to home, because 2 flocks of Canada geese came over in a beautiful formation. We also watched a seal playing and swimming with some of the I can't remember what they're called, but they stand on boards with paddle boarders. There were paddle boarders and surfers there. There was a very quaint train going across in the hills, and all the sparkly lights were coming on in St Ives Harbour. It was totally magical. And what a contrast from being in the hospital in so much pain and so much distress to then experiencing this gorgeous sunset with best friends that I've known for over 20 years, with Michael and the Canada geese and the seals. It was truly magical. And then I felt at peace, and I then slept 10 hours. And then the next morning when I got up and I ate, unfortunately the fluid started to build up again, and I could see it building up. So it was pretty disappointing and worrying. But I have now organised that I'm going to have another drain on Monday morning, and God willing there will be enough fluid to drain, because there has to be enough fluid, otherwise it's too precarious and high risk to do. So I need to be on top of this. I now have a new oncologist that I'm going to meet on Tuesday, and he will decide if we go with a regular drain at the hospital or if I have a permanent drain fixed, and then Michael is shown how to help me do that. But why I mention that to you is I think it's really affected me, not only physically but mentally now. And I am aware of how my body is deteriorating and how little energy I have. And I also noticed that when we were on the beach on Thursday, my friends sorted out renting a wheelchair, a beach wheelchair, which was fantastic. So Michael could push me down onto the beach. We went right up to the water's edge and I paddled my feet in the water. But I did notice that I lacked the energy I had lacked only 10 days before, when I'd been able to walk onto the beach with my walker. So that's really where I'm at, and I'm at a point where I'm trying to not be in it and create a drama around it, but to sort of step back and observe it, and to be real about it, because this is happening, and I don't spiritually bypass, and this is scary. And that said, I mentioned about the fish and chips and looking at the sunset and the beaches and all the beauty that I do have around me here in Cornwall, because there is still so much to be grateful for, and there's so much to feel alive within. So I'm able to compartmentalize the scariness and the physical side of things, so that I can appreciate and be present when my friends are here, when we're having wonderful conversations, when I'm eating good food, when I'm enjoying nature around me, and certainly when I'm with Midnight. So the process that I'm going through now is observing what matters and prioritizing how I want to spend my energy. So what do you know? I seem to have this ability to just chatter away. I've noticed it's almost 15 minutes. I just wanted to fill you in on Midnight and me. I didn't realize it would take so long. So thank you for persisting and listening. I'm going to post this now. With the final point of, don't forget this weekend to go out and grab your life with both hands. If it is a sunny day, as we've been blessed with here, make sure you grab being outside and enjoying the beauty that surrounds you, and so you can make your one life count. And thanks for watching. Mwah! Big love to you.